We've drawn Christmas flowers like an amaryllis and a poinsettia before. Let's do a Christmas rose this time. I'm using 3 stock photos from Pixabay as references. I recommend a hard pencil like an H for sketching, but I'm gonna use an erasable colored pencil just so you can see my sketch a bit better. The first flower is straight on. Let's start by drawing a circle for the middle, and Christmas roses have 5 petals, so let's draw a pentagon around the circle. So 5 angles for the petals. Or they're actually not petals, but we'll get to that later. And then let's start sketching the petals into these 5 corners. They're overlapping a bit, so some petals are in front of others. And let's do a hint of the stem. I'll sketch out the whole page first and then move on to the drawing. So the next flower is facing down. I'm doing a half circle and then adding 5 petals under it and marking the place in the middle and sketching the leaves on top, curved forward a bit. And a bit of a stem again. Let's sketch one more flower, and this time an oval flower bud with leaves around it. And a few more leaves in general. Now let's go into the details. I'm using an H pencil. I told you the petals aren't actually petals. Anatomically, these tooth-looking things in the middle around the carpel are the actual petals of a Christmas rose or hellebore. The bigger ones that look like petals are sepals. They're leaves, but they aren't green. Kind of like with a poinsettia, the red parts that you would think are the flower petals are actually modified leaves. Not that important for the drawing, but just in case you're wondering why there's more stuff in the middle. Because I was while drawing, and I checked this out later. I'm defining the lines for the petals and the leaves. The leaves have a serrated or jagged edge, and then cleaning up by erasing the less precise initial sketch. The sepals have stripes or lines going through them, so let's draw some of those. More lines close to the center. I'm also adding shading, still with the same pencil, going through each of the sepals. I had a couple of flower painting and drawing books open that both had Christmas flowers included, so I'll list those below. For the leaves, I'll shade in 1/2 of the leaf more, and I'll shade the stem darker just under the flower. Fix up a bit with the eraser on the end of a mechanical pencil, because it's more precise. And now we are ready to do darker shading with a softer pencil. I used a 3B here. I'm going in and enforcing the lines near the center of the flower. It's partly because the pattern is darker there, but also to make that part look deeper with the dark shading. I'm also doing little dots for the pattern, going around and doing the same thing for all of the sepals. And also shading in parts where the sepals overlap. Next, I'm going in with a woodless graphite pencil, which is basically just an even darker pencil. You could use just a regular soft pencil and press harder, or even try a charcoal pencil for a few of the darkest details to add more contrast. I'm going around the tooth-like petals because that's one of the darkest parts in the photo, and I'm drawing ovals for the anthers in the center that we left blank before, coloring in the petals light gray and the center black with the woodless pencil, since that's another darkest part in the photo. Then I'm trying to go in and carve out the white anthers with the mechanical pencil eraser and outlining them with the mechanical pencil, but it's kind of a mess. A bit more shading on the leaves and highlights with the eraser and outlining the sepals a bit more. Moving on to the flower bud, defining the outlines with the H pencil, erasing the initial sketch, and shading in the sepals on the bud that are in the back. Doing the jagged edges on the leaves and shading them in. I'm giving the flower bud some shape by shading it even more. Darker shading with the 3B, and I'm using a paper stump to blend the shading to make it look smoother. This is totally optional, and you can also blend with a piece of paper towel if you want to achieve the same effect without using a paper stump. So I ruined my kneaded eraser by using it on charcoal before, and I was trying to clean it in a recent video, but I finally bought a new one. and I think I've forgotten how to use it, or this one's just really soft, because I tried molding it into a sharp tip to erase fine highlights into the leaves, and the kneaded eraser just wasn't keeping the shape and I gave up on it. Let's do the remaining leaves, outline, jagged edges, the leaf veins. I remember how talking about leaf veins used to get my videos demonetized back in the day, but I think that's gotten fixed by now. A bit of shading and blending. On to the last flower. Outlining the sepals and erasing to clean up the outline. Some of the sepals have a really sharp tip and in others it's curved inward so it looks rounder. Now you're getting the center of the flower from a different angle. The outer part should be the tooth-like petals, but it looks like I left them out of this one. So there are just the filaments and anthers, and then inside them the style and stigma coming out of the carpel. Moving on to shading the stem and the inside of the sepals. Adding some of the lines for patterns. The darkest parts in the photo are in the center of the flower again, so adding the darkest shading there with the woodless graphite pencil. It's a tricky angle. The two sepals on top are looking kind of chubby, and shading the part between those two sepals very dark made it worse. It emphasizes how the sepals are overlapping and it's looking a bit strange. I'll try fixing it a bit and add a photo of the final drawing here. How about learning to draw an amaryllis next? Watch this video. See you there!